Now, we heard those reports of the bear wandering around New Haven, and we sent News 8's Jason Newton to track down the story and that bear. And he did just that, arriving even before the wildlife experts. Good job, Jason.
Well, thank you. It's all in a day's work. And actually, this is where it all ended. We're inside New Haven's Jocelyn Square Park. Back here behind me, if you can see that huge tree branch, the bear was actually stuck up in that tree when he was tranquilized, fell out of the tree, landing on that huge branch, breaking it in two right there. And according to the police reports, this bear basically made his way up and down the Mill River here in New Haven all day, from the East Rock neighborhood to Fairhaven down to Worcester Square, staying mostly in the wooded areas and on the river banks, occasionally popping his head up on city streets and causing quite the commotion.
Oh, there he goes.
By nightfall, it was all finally over. The huge black bear was tranquilized before falling out of a tree and then loaded into an SUV by New Haven police and agents from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection.
So he was just walking along?
He was just walking along, and then he looked at me and he's like, and I was like, oh shoot, a bear. I was on the phone the whole time and I was scared.
It's something these city dwellers never expected to come across.
He was walking towards his house when he saw the bear standing right there in the backyard.
Back up. Dude, he's going up to the park. He's going to the park.
New Haven police finally caught up to the black bear they heard reports about all day. This woman came face to face with him while walking on State Street.
And then I seen the bear and I was like, oh my God, that's not really a bear. Like, really? No.
They finally cornered him in a wooded area off Wallace Street, right by the Exit 3 on-ramp for I-91.
So it took me a while to come back. So what I did was I ran behind Humphreys and I went behind the dumpster, and then I came back, and then I see one of my friends and I jumped in the car.
It's not that much going on in Wallace Street besides the bear.
Deep agents showed up armed and ready with a tranquilizer rifle and hit him with at least one tranquilizer dart. The bear scurried up a tree until finally the dosage kicked in and he fell to the ground. And so we were told that bear weighs more than 350 pounds. He also did not have any collars or ear tags. So basically the bear was unknown to wildlife officials. And of course, it's just very uncommon, according to those same wildlife officials, to have such a big bear with the presence here in a major urban area. We're told that he was taken to a remote wooded location to be released. We're live tonight in New Haven. Jason Newton, News 8. The hysterical screams of an inconsolable mother just getting word that her son was the victim in a broad daylight New Haven shooting.
I just could see the fire in her eyes, the shaking. I'm feeling her pain. Everybody's feeling her pain that's out here right now that you saw.
The victim was Muhannad Jawad, a store clerk whose family apparently owns the E&M store on Ferry Street in New Haven's Fairhaven neighborhood. He also lived nearby and was well known.
Great guy. Know his family. His mother, Maria, always gives me advice. This didn't have to happen that way.
Police say 4 persons of interest took off from the scene after the shooting. News 8 shot this footage of what police say is a stolen Honda CR-V crashed into a home on Quinnipiac Avenue. One by one, the persons of interest were handcuffed and walked up to nearby police cruisers. Our cameras show that it was at least 2 men and 1 woman.
But for something like this to happen here in the streets, it's not worth it. You turn your back and people are going to stab you in the back. That's what just happened.
Some big questions tonight after the officer earned 6 figures just in extra duty. News 8's Jason Newton has been pouring through documents for weeks now. He's here now with this exclusive story. Jason.
And Scott, our investigation reveals that there were several red flags involving police extra duty shifts and specifically the officer who was in charge of assigning them. Those red flags were enough for the chief to call for an internal investigation. Earlier this year, New Haven police officer Dennis Mastriano was reassigned to a new unit. He had been in charge of assigning extra duty shifts. Documents obtained by News 8 show Mastriano's salary was around $62,000 last year, but in take-home pay for the year, including extra duty and overtime, Mastriano brought home $192,733, making him the highest paid police officer in the city. Mastriano pulled in $107,000 last year alone in extra duty shifts. Other rank and file officers in the department complained that they were not getting any extra duty work and took those complaints straight to the mayor.
A number of police officers had contacted me to say that they were not getting the extra duty jobs that they thought that they should get.
Many New Haven officers also complained directly to Police Chief Dean Esserman. An internal affairs statement to News 8 reads in part, the chief's office received several complaints from officers alleging that the extra duty police work was not being distributed in accordance with the union contract. At the time of these complaints, Officer Dennis Mastriano was assigned as the extra duty officer. An internal affairs investigation is now underway focused on Mastriano, and he was quickly reassigned. Chief Esserman was out of office Thursday but sent News 8 a statement laying out a timeline and actions he requested. Over a month ago, an allegation of impropriety was made regarding the handling and assigning of extra duty jobs for officers. I, in turn, asked Internal Affairs to investigate the allegation.
We've got to look into why that occurred and what caused it to occur and if there was any wrongdoing.
While not going into much detail, Mayor Harp says the city will make sure there's checks in place to stop abuse and favoritism of extra duty work. The internal affairs investigation is expected to wrap up soon. The results will determine if Officer Mastriano will face any discipline. Live in the studio, I'm Jason Newton.
Kamaya, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On a warm summer day, it's a way to help cool down tensions between cops and the community.
I think it's very important that the community gets to know the police officers so it makes them more human.
During the annual neighborhood basketball tournament, cops who work in the New Hallville section of New Haven came up with a clever way to break the ice with those who live there.
When you do things like that, it lets you know that, they're down to earth and they're just regular people.
They bought boxes of frozen popsicles and passed them out to unsuspecting kids hanging out in the park.
There's clearly some mistrust, to say the least, between the police and this community in particular. And it's just a small gesture, starting with the kids, so they have some type of positive interaction with the police.
The idea was a hit with most kids, especially 4-year-old Princess, who scored her favorite flavor.
Was that a good popsicle?
Yeah,
What color was it?
it was purple.
It was purple? You like the purple? That's your favorite?
Yeah.
July has been an especially tense month between police and African American communities nationwide. Officer Williams just returned from Baton Rouge, where he went to pay respects to 3 officers who were killed in the line of duty. Williams is from New Hallville, so he says it's easier for people to relate to his familiar face.
I understand more about what the police do. I understand some of the tensions that the community may have towards the police.
It's the holy month of Ramadan, meaning Muslims are showing up in large numbers for daily prayers.
From the common mistakes.
But at the Masjid Al-Mustafa on Waterbury's East End, solemn worship is being interrupted.
They've been intimidating the members, calling racial slurs, and threatening those members.
Members say both Wednesday and Thursday night, drivers have been harassing and intimidating Muslims as they walk to the mosque.
They're concerned. They're concerned with their safety. They're concerned with the safety of the family and the children that are coming here.
Some of the worshipers end up having to park in this overflow parking lot here, cross the street, and make their way up the hill towards the mosque. One of the incidents that's been reported is that as they cross the street, a man pulls up in a truck, revs his engine, even squeals his tires, threatening to run them over. Jawad Ashraf attends the mosque and volunteers for traffic security at the busy location.
We have an African-American Muslim who is also head of security here, and we had a few instances of racial slurs, the N-word and so on and so forth being hurled at him. And then we have all the, Islamophobic terms.
Waterbury police arrested Joshua Casey, charging him with breach of peace for one of the incidents. The FBI is aware of these incidents, and Waterbury police are looking at stronger charges.
Currently, we are continuing this investigation. We're looking into the possibility that this may be a bias and bigotry crime.
In light of what took place in Orlando earlier this month, people at this mosque want to spread peace and hope to practice their faith in peace. In Waterbury, Jason Newton, News 8. take one last good look at it. By tomorrow, the only remaining cobblestone street in Derby will be history, and the news is upsetting to local history buffs.
Because this is a link to our past. This is how they made the roads back in the old days.
Lower Caroline Street has looked this way for nearly 300 years and was better suited for horse-drawn buggies coming down the steep hill. But with changing times, the uneven Belgian blocks are tricky for automobiles, especially for plow trucks after a storm.
It's very steep. Even when it's not snowing and it's just raining, the Belgian blocks get very slippery.
There's about 6 residential properties on the street, and they know better than anyone the troubles winter can bring.
It's really just a road that's been neglected, and I think if people had to shovel it like I have throughout the years to get out of here, they would see there's really no benefit to preserving it.
Obviously ready for change to a smoother, more modern road.
I say they're not historical, they're hysterical.
Mark Anthony Izzo used to represent the area as a city alder and was holding out hope that a compromise could have been worked out with the city and residents to try and save the original street.
And allow the residents who are around the street, and there's not really many of them, allow them to park in the parking garage, which is 2 blocks away.
Heavy equipment is getting ready for the job. The city is using extra bond money for road projects to remove the cobblestones before laying fresh pavement. They plan to salvage the blocks and place them around downtown with a plaque commemorating their history. But still, the mayor calls it a sad day.
We're just fixing, for safety reasons, a road that's badly in disrepair, and residents have been complaining for many years.
In Derby, Jason Newton, News 8.